Hey, it's Milton Daily Homes Chuck here, and so we got a list of 8 properties. August 8th, we have 8 properties. And before we get into it, I want to share with you something. A friend of mine named Andy Harrington, he's a real estate coach, and he attended a seminar with Pinball Clemens, and Pinball talked about the foundation of humanity is really the family, and the foundation of a family is a strong house. And so we think of real estate sometimes as a commodity, and definitely in daily homes we do. We compare values, we look at what's a good deal and what's not. But I think that it's always important to remember that the home is a place where memories are made, where your child takes their first step, where you see them off to university, where they get married. And there's just so many good things about a home that you just can't put on paper. So it's always good just to remember that. And no matter how good or bad condition a home is in, I think that there's always something there in terms of memories and emotion and energy. And you can actually feel it when you go through a home. I'll go through a house with a buyer and I'll say, you know what, there's something off on this home. And invariably we find out that there's something that happened, maybe family circumstances, a separation or something like that. You can tell. It's funny how you can really tune into vibration. But anyways, enough about that stuff. Let's get to today's list. And so the first one up is 100 Millside, number 806. It's at 274. 2-bedroom, 2 washroom. It's more than 1,000 square feet. The condo fees are a little bit high at $677, but they include everything: your heat, your hydro. There's good amenities in here: the swimming pool, the gym, and so on. Now the unit is pretty much bare bones. The kitchen isn't the worst I've seen in this building by any means. And it's a pretty good floor plan. So the thing about the renovated units is they usually sell, between about $320 and $370. So if you're able to come in and do a bit of work, put some new flooring in, paint it, put a new kitchen, I think there's a big opportunity there. And so this one looks like it faces the road. So it actually faces a little bit of Millside. So it's looking north. And then you get a bit of the escarpment here. Mill Pond is just over on this side. So the views aren't too bad at all. That's the other side. So you're almost looking the one way on the other picture and then this way on that one. Overall, I'd say it's a good looking listing. I think that the discount, just like we talked about yesterday on the one on low, is enough that it is incentivized that somebody could come in and potentially do it for less than what the final number would be, which is always a positive thing. We call that difference the sweat equity. So Maiden Lane, don't see a lot of Maiden Lane, nice and close to downtown, mostly semi-detached on the street, 387.5, and it looks like it's in pretty good shape. So that's all you can really expect for these homes. They're not massive properties. If you go over to Laurier or a couple of the other streets, you'll find the lots are a little bit deeper. So this is only 93 compared to some of the ones at 120 in the other neighborhoods. But it looks like they've kept it well, and the yard still looks like it's a pretty decent size, larger than you'd find in some of the newer areas. So all in all, I think that one has a lot to offer. This one on Charlton, aside from being a fantastic street name, the home itself is about 1,600 square feet. There's a bit of finished space in the basement, about a 24 by 95 foot lot. Darker crown moldings, which is the second time I think this month we've seen that. It's been kept pretty well, but I think at $455 for the size of this one with the finished basement, I think they're reaching too much. I think that having the second kitchen is certainly going to be a positive thing for them, for the person who wants a second kitchen. But for the size and being a semi and everything else, I just think that it's maybe aimed their sights a little too ambitious. Holland Rake, Wyndham Corners have done really well lately. It started off with one that sold at the corner of Clark and Trudeau for a price that I think surprised a lot of people. And so that has continued to almost duplicate over and over again. We've seen a lot of these homes be up in the 520, 525, 530 type of range. So these guys are at 520. It's a 3-bedroom, about 1,850 square feet. The only thing I can see in here looks like a partly finished basement, so there's a rec room down there, but there's hardwood in the family in the dining room, and most of the corners don't have a combined living dining. They separate them off. They put them in two different rooms, but there's hardwood and then there's laminate. So usually, and I'm not saying it's the case with this one because there's no photos, but when we see two different types of flooring on a main level, or when you can see more than two within eyesight, it tends to throw you off a little bit. So I have seen it work on occasion, but for the most part, if you have a laminate and a hardwood together on the same level, it can really contrast and not create the right impression. Now Tupper's $589. And so we've got a finished basement here. We've got 4 bedrooms. The home is probably, when you look at the room sizes, somewhere around the 2,400 square foot mark. Again, laminate floors on this one, it looks like. There's parquet in the living dining. Finished basement would certainly help them at that price, but we'll see what happens when we get the photos. No pictures here on Switzer, so this is going to be a pretty quick list. You can always check the link down below the video, and you can see the pictures when they're actually uploaded and ready. So this one here is 2,255 square feet, granite counters, hardwood floors, and so on. At $599, I would say that usually the stuff 2,300 square feet, we see a pretty wide range. It's usually between $550 and $650, depending on what's going on there. There's no finished basement. Let's see what happens. So it's hard to tell just from that. I can't even tell from the room sizes what model it is. So Hood Terrace, $714,900. It's a Vanderwood, so it's just over 3,000 square feet. Hardwood floors, nice looking kitchen, and the Vanderwoods generally, if they're in good shape, can go for this kind of money. They've done some good job of landscaping in the back. Even the driveway, that's not cheap to do that. You don't always get the money back for it. One of the things that I saw in this home that I liked was the fact that in the kitchen they have an 8-foot door, which makes a big difference. And a lot of people buy floor plans and upgrades and they think of it like a 2-dimensional object, but things like the 8-foot doors can make a huge difference in a home, especially for the cost that the builders charge you. It's not usually substantial. And that this is such an important room. So when this door is at the level of the cabinets, when it's closer to the ceiling, what it does is it actually draws your eyes up and makes the ceilings appear larger, makes the room appear larger. So that's a very, very positive thing. And it looks like they've got hardwood on the main, laminate on the second floor, which preferably it's all hardwood. You don't always get the return for any kind of flooring upgrade on the second floor because there's just not universally every buyer wants that kind of flooring. For the most part, people are cool with hardwood on the main floor no matter what, but the upstairs is a little bit more subjective. Last one is Ashbrook. It's actually a relist, and the pictures aren't here. It's a very interesting home because it's very segmented and the rooms are kind of all over the place, and it's funny because if you're not careful you can almost get lost within this home. It's on Ashbrook, so Ashbrook is just off of Oak. You've got 16 Mile Creek that goes throughout here. There's a water treatment plant here. There's some kind of factory here that you can see a little bit. So it's actually this house right here. There's a road allowance that goes here, so you could actually create a driveway. They've got a pool. They've got a big garage in the front. The home actually has a lot of square footage, and it's got a massive property. So I don't know where the actual property ends. I think it ends somewhere around here. However, you get the use of all this stuff. So there's basically a football field in the backyard. It's one of the only properties in town to brag on having such a massive property. The ones on commercial get to use some of the land behind them too. And as long as there's no permanent structures, it basically becomes something where you almost exclusively get use of it. You want to make sure for insurance reasons that you're not, I'm imagining being this close to 16 Mile Creek that there's probably some floodplain considerations, but I do know that the home is set higher up on a bit of a slope and a hill. So I think it should be fine for the most part, but you always just want to check into that stuff. Anywhere downtown really is. You always just want to make sure that insurance is not going to be an issue. But it's a very interesting location. You can walk to Main Street, and there's a lot of things close by that are fun. The mall is within walking distance. A lot of good restaurants. Go to Troy's for breakfast and all the rest. So one of the most unique properties in town. Again, the pictures and the link are all going to be in here. And that's the list for today. So unfortunately, more than half of today's homes don't really have photos. But again, we still try and give you some interpretation, some context. So if you'd like our help, definitely give us a call, and we'd be glad to help you buy, sell, or even invest in real estate. I had a person who called in this week and was talking about investing in real estate. have some very serious thoughts about that. And it's funny because Milton, I don't know if it would be my first choice to look for an investment property as a principal residence, as a place you live in. Absolutely, but I think there are better options for the type of investment properties that I believe are the most successful ones. So if you're interested in that, just give me a call or send me an email. I'll try and give you some more perspective. So have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.